You think attraction is about words. No, attraction lives in silence, in inches, in moments where nothing is said, but everything is felt. And if you understand these 7 touches, she won't pull away, she won't resist, she'll lean in without even realizing why. Buddy, let me tell you something most men never understand. Touch is not about contact. It's about timing and emotion. First, the accidental touch. When your fingers brush hers for just a second, not forced, not planned, it creates curiosity. Her mind starts asking, was that on purpose? That question is where attraction begins. Second, the lingering handshake. You hold just a little longer, not enough to be weird, but enough to be noticed. That extra second tells her, you're not like everyone else. Third, the guiding touch. Your hand lightly on her back while walking. It's not control, it's presence. It says, I've got you. And deep down, that feeling is powerful. Fourth, the playful tap. Tease her. Light touches when you laugh. This breaks the tension. It makes everything feel easy, natural, alive. Fifth, the face or hair adjustment. This one is different, slower, softer. You move a strand of hair away and for a moment, time pauses. If she lets you, you're already in a different space with her. Sixth, the protective touch. Crowded place, noise, chaos, and you gently pull her closer. Not aggressively, just enough to say, you're safe here. And trust me, nothing builds attraction faster than feeling safe. Seventh, the slow withdrawal. This is where most guys mess up. They either hold too long or pull away too fast. But when you slowly remove your touch, you leave behind a feeling, a gap, a moment where she almost wants it back. Ending, understand this, it's not about touching more, it's about touching right, because when it's done right, she doesn't feel uncomfortable, she feels connected, drawn in, curious, and that's the moment where she stops resisting and starts feeling you without you saying a single word. This is where everything begins, not with intention, but with illusion. The accidental touch is powerful because it doesn't look like attraction. It feels like coincidence. And the human brain is obsessed with unfinished stories. When your fingers lightly brush hers while reaching for the same thing, or your arm barely grazes hers while walking side by side, it creates a micro-second of awareness. Not enough to react, but enough to register. Her mind doesn't say, he touched me. Her mind says, wait, what was that? And that question is dangerous in the best way. Because now, she's aware of you. Small blue diamond, the psychology behind it. A sudden, light, unexpected touch triggers a small emotional spike. It's subtle, but it breaks the invisible barrier between two people. Before that moment, you were just there. After that moment, you become felt. And once someone feels you, they can't fully ignore you anymore. Small blue diamond, the key is innocence. If it looks planned, it fails. If it feels forced, it dies instantly. The magic only works when it's deniable. She should never be able to prove it was intentional. That's what keeps her thinking later. Did he mean to do that or not? And when she starts replaying a moment in her head, you've already taken space in her mind. Small blue diamond timing is everything. The accidental touch works best in moments of distraction, when both of you reach for something, when you're laughing and moving naturally, when walking close in a tight space. Because her guard is down, and when the guard is down, the feeling goes deeper. Small blue diamond, the real power, it's not the touch itself, it's what comes after. You don't react, you don't acknowledge it, you continue like nothing happened, but inside her something did happen. A shift, a curiosity, a subtle awareness of your presence. Small blue diamond, the hidden effect. Later, she might not remember your exact words, but she will remember that moment, that tiny, almost invisible contact that made her feel something she can't fully explain. And that's the beginning of attraction, not loud, not obvious, but quietly taking root. You don't build attraction by holding on, you build it in the moment you almost let go. The lingering handshake is not about greeting, it's about creating a pause in reality. Everyone shakes hands the same way, quick, forgettable, automatic. But when you hold it just a second longer, you interrupt the pattern, not long enough to be uncomfortable, just long enough to be noticed. That extra second doesn't feel like time, it feels like intention, and intention is what separates you from everyone else. In that brief pause, eye contact becomes heavier, silence becomes louder, and suddenly it's not just a handshake anymore. It becomes a moment. Her brain picks it up instantly, not consciously but emotionally, because something about it felt different. Not aggressive, not needy, just present, and presence is rare. Most people rush interactions. They move too fast, trying to impress, trying to say more, do more, but you slowed it down. That alone changes how she experiences you. The key is control. Your grip is calm, not tight, not weak. Your hand is steady, not shaking, not hesitant. And most importantly, your release is smooth. You don't drop her hand. You don't pull away suddenly. You let go slowly like the moment mattered. Because when you release slowly, you leave behind a trace of that connection. A feeling that lingers even after the touch is gone, and for a brief second she notices the absence of it. That's where the tension lies, not in holding on, but in creating something, and then gently taking it away. That's what makes her aware, that's what makes her feel, and that's what makes a simple handshake turn into something she remembers. The guiding touch isn't about leading, it's about being felt without saying a word. There's a moment when you're walking together, moving through a space, and everything feels normal on the surface. But the second your hand lightly rests on her back, something shifts, not pressure, not control, just presence. It's subtle enough that it doesn't interrupt the moment, but real enough that it changes how she experiences you. Because that small contact sends a quiet message you're aware of her, not just physically, but completely. And awareness is powerful. Most people walk side by side without ever really connecting. There's distance, even when they're close. But this removes that distance without making it obvious. It creates alignment. Your movement and hers start to sync. Your pace matches. The space between you disappears without effort. And she feels it, not as a thought, but as a sensation. The key is softness. Your hand doesn't push. It doesn't guide forcefully. It simply exists there, light enough to disappear, strong enough to be noticed. Because the moment it feels like control, it breaks, but when it feels natural, it becomes grounding. In crowded spaces, this touch does something even deeper. There's noise, movement, unpredictability, and in the middle of all that, your hand becomes a point of calm. A signal that she's not alone in that moment, and that feeling of quiet stability in chaos stays longer than the touch itself. You're not saying anything, you're not asking for attention, but your presence becomes undeniable, and when you remove your hand slowly, without urgency, there's a brief shift. Like something just disappeared, she may not react outwardly, but internally there's awareness, because for a moment you weren't just beside her, you were something she could feel. The playful tap isn't about touch, it's about energy. There's a difference between someone who creates tension and someone who makes the moment feel alive. This touch lives in that space where things stop feeling serious and start feeling real. It happens in laughter, in teasing, in those small moments where words don't need to carry everything. A light tap on her arm when she says something unexpected. A quick nudge when you challenge her playfully. It's not about contact. It's about rhythm, because attraction isn't built only on intensity, it's built on movement, push and pull. Light and deep, calm and chaos, and this is where most people fail. They stay too serious, too controlled, too predictable. But the playful tap breaks that pattern. It tells her, without saying it, I'm comfortable here. And comfort creates openness. When she laughs and feels that light, harmless touch at the same time, her brain starts linking you with that emotion. Not logically, but automatically, you become associated with ease, with fun, with a feeling she wants to stay in. But the key is balance. Too much and it feels childish, too little and it never lands. It has to come naturally, inside the flow of the moment. Never forced, never random. It's always connected to something shared, a joke, a reaction, a spark between both of you. And then it disappears just as quickly as it came, no lingering, no overthinking, just a brief connection that passes through but leaves behind a trace. Because the real power of this touch isn't in how long it lasts, it's in how effortlessly it fits into the moment. She doesn't analyze it, she doesn't question it, she just feels it and keeps smiling, and slowly, without realizing it being around you, starts to feel different. Lighter, easier, more alive. This is where everything slows down and the energy changes. The face or hair adjustment isn't loud. It's quiet, close, and deeply felt. It doesn't belong to playful moments or casual interaction. It belongs to a different space, one where attention becomes focused and everything else fades for a second. There's a moment when a strand of her hair falls slightly out of place, or something small draws your attention. Instead of pointing it out, you gently fix it. No rush, no sudden movement, just calm, controlled intention. And that's what makes it powerful, because this isn't a distant interaction anymore. This is close. Personal, almost delicate. Your hand moves slowly, giving her time to register what's happening. Not surprising her, not overwhelming her, just allowing the moment to exist. And in that second, her awareness sharpens. She feels your presence more clearly than before, not just around her, but right there within her space. The key here is sensitivity. You're not taking space, you're entering it carefully. If there's even a slight hesitation from her side, you stop. Because this moment only works when it feels natural to both of you. But if she stays still, if she allows it, then something shifts. Eye contact becomes deeper, silence becomes heavier, and the moment stretches longer than expected. It's not about fixing her hair, it's about what that action represents: attention, care, confidence without force. And when you're done, you don't linger awkwardly, you don't make it dramatic, you simply pull your hand away slowly, like it was the most normal thing in the world. But it wasn't. Because for a brief second, the distance between you disappeared, and she felt it, not loudly, not obviously, but enough that it stays with her even after the moment is gone. The protective touch isn't about strength, it's about instinct. There's a moment when the environment changes: noise, movement, people getting too close, and without making it obvious, you shift closer to her. Not suddenly, not dramatically, just naturally, like it makes sense. Your hand finds a place near her arm, her shoulder, or lightly around her, not to hold her in place, but to create a small space within the chaos. And that's what she feels first, not the touch, but the change. The outside world feels a little farther away. The movement around her feels less overwhelming, and in that moment, you become a point of stability. You didn't ask, you didn't announce it, you just responded, and that's what makes it different, because real presence isn't loud, it's aware. Your touch isn't tight, it isn't restrictive, it's calm, controlled, ready to disappear the second it's not needed. That's what keeps it from feeling forced. It feels like protection, not possession, and deep down, that distinction matters more than anything. Because when someone feels safe around you, their guard doesn't just drop, it softens. She doesn't have to think about where to stand or how to move or what's happening around her. For a brief moment, she can just exist without tension, and your presence becomes associated with that feeling. Not because you said anything, but because you created an environment where nothing needed to be said. Then, just as naturally as it came, you let it go. No sudden movement, no attention drawn to it, and as your hand leaves, there's a small shift. The space returns, the noise comes back, but something lingers, because for a moment in the middle of everything, you felt like calm. This is where everything either builds or breaks. The slow withdrawal isn't about ending the touch, it's about controlling the feeling after it's gone. Most people don't understand this part. They focus on how to create contact, but they completely ignore how to leave it. And leaving is where the tension lies, when your hand is there, whether it's her arm, her back, or a brief connection during a moment. You don't rush to pull away. You don't drop it suddenly like it meant nothing. You let the moment breathe, and then you start to move away slowly. Not in a way that draws attention, but in a way that can be felt. Because when something disappears gradually, the mind notices the absence more than the presence. That's the shift. Her focus doesn't stay on the touch itself. It moves to the feeling it leaves behind. A slight pause, a small gap, a moment where something just changed, and that's where tension is created. If you pull away too fast, the moment dies instantly. If you hold on too long, it loses its meaning. But when you leave at the right pace, you create something unfinished, and the human mind doesn't like unfinished moments. It replays them, it tries to understand them, it goes back to that exact second, again and again. That's how you stay in her thoughts without saying anything. The key is control, your movement is calm, your timing is precise, there's no hesitation, no awkwardness. It feels natural but intentional at the same time, and as your touch fades, there's a brief second where she becomes aware of the space it leaves behind. That awareness is subtle but powerful, because now she's not just feeling you when you're there, she's noticing you even when you're gone.